If you're struggling with hitting your Sterling irons or your irons in general from the fairway from tight lies, then I've got a few things here that can hopefully help you out with that. First of all, I want to say I as a pro now, I remember in high school and college when I was 14, 16, 18, 20 handicap that these particular shots, I actually preferred having the ball in just off the fairway in the light rough or in the first cut there or in just some light rough, because then it oftentimes would sit up and it was almost like it was teed up for me. So it was a little bit more forgiving, a little bit easier to play. So perhaps that's the case for you as well. And then when you get on the fairway, it's like, oh, there's not much room to work with there. It's just, and they make you a little bit more nervous. So I understand what you're going through there, and I definitely remember what that's like. As far as a couple things that can help, a few things that can help. First, I would say, if you're already playing the Sterling iron, single length irons, or single length irons in general, I think that's going to help because all the clubs are the same length, of course. They're the same weight, same swing weight, same lie angle. You can play them in the same ball position. They're designed to be able to do that. So that right away, over time, as you get used to them, that can certainly help you play shots from tight lies from fairways a little bit easier. Beyond that, as far as the technical thing goes, with modern golf instruction today, we're often taught that to have a lot of shaft lean. And when you do that, the club face, get that on there. The club face, when you have it straight up and down like this, points like this, and then the more you move the shaft forward, the more the loft goes down. So in a lot of cases, for a lot of your irons, particularly with your higher lofted irons, the lower effective loft here at impact, and this is the lower launch, and it's going to have less spin, so you're going to get a little bit more distance with that. However, if you overdo it a little bit, then with the club leaning forward like this sharp part of the club here is called the leading edge. The more it goes forward, the higher chance there's going to be that it can grab into the ground. So if you catch it just a tiny bit fat, it's going to be a lot more penal than if you're really far forward like that with a shaft in an effort to get a higher smash factor, get more distance, that kind of thing, as opposed to if you're vertical or just slightly forward. So that would be one of the first things I would say, is just be careful about having too much shaft lean. And related to that, I would also say, rather than maybe catching the ball in the downswing and taking a big divot, try and maybe sweep or collect or pick the ball. I know it's pretty common to be taught to take divots and to hit down on the ball in the golf instruction world. However, know that there are really good players that generally don't do that. Jack Nicklaus, for one, he's had a pretty good record. He was known to not take much divot and just kind of sweep or collect or pick the ball. Count Yogi, if you've ever heard of him, they've called him the greatest player you've never heard of. He played back in the Sam Snead days. Zach Johnson, Steve Stricker. There's quite a few good players out there that are just picking and collecting and sweeping the ball. And what happens when you do that is if you're not going to be catching it on the downswing so much and really hitting the ground, then you have a little bit more forgiveness. So if you catch it, if you catch the ground just a tiny bit behind the ground and your shaft isn't too far forward, you can still get away with it. You're not going to lose much speed. The club's still going to come through and hit the ball and drive through it. So there's a little bit more forgiveness that way. If you catch it a little bit thin, that's okay too. So by not having a lot of excessive shaft lean and or just having a little bit, just watching too much shaft lean, and then trying to sweep or pick or collect the ball, brush it off the ground, there's less likelihood, and you can get away with a little bit more when you do that. So, and then along those lines, I would watch the ball position in your stance, because on a related note, if you have it further back in your stance, typically you might, if you hit it well, you might hit it farther because the club face is de-lofted here. But again, you're effectively making the shaft come in more forward, and there's a greater chance that you can hit it fat like that. So watch having the ball position too far back. Watch having it too far forward, because with the ball sitting on the ground like that, there's with the swing arc, there's a natural down, a natural leveling out, and a natural up. You don't have to try and hit down. You don't have to try and catch it on the upswing. So try and position the ball where you're catching it just on the way down, or maybe almost level, but you don't want to be too far forward, because then you have to chase it a little bit and drift towards the target, I guess, a little bit more, to make sure that you don't hit it fat. You can have some sway like that and still hit the ball okay, but I guess if we're trying to help you play these tight lie fairway shots a little bit better, I would be careful about having it too far forward or too far back in your stance or too far forward in your stance. Middle-ish is okay. And you can kind of experiment around with that a little bit. From a ball position standpoint, that's going to give you a little bit of forgiveness. So, and then lastly, I would also say to be smooth when you're hitting your iron shots. So if you're a little bit tentative, a little bit nervous about playing the shot, you can have a little bit of tension and a little bit of fear in your body and your swing, just a subtle amount, not like oh my gosh, I'm like so afraid to hit the shot, but just like a subtle amount can put a little bit of constriction in your body. And if you go to the tether ball example, where you got a maypole and the ball's going around, it's gonna, if there's no if the string is relaxed and smooth, and the ball's going to be coming around every time in the same point of space. But if you put a little tug in the rope, it's really going to disrupt the fluidity, and then when the ball comes around, it's not going to come through in the same point in space. So similarly, when you're dealing with the golf club, we don't have a lot of room to deal with here as far as hitting a good shot. So try and be smooth. That doesn't mean be slow or guide it. You want to go fast for a full swing, but you want to watch the amount of tension and hardness in your swing. A quick little drill to help with that is a humming drill or an air blow drill. So while you're swinging, hum, or if you don't want anyone to hear you humming, maybe blow a little air out through your nose and mouth such that you can sense it, but other people can't hear it. It's not going to bother other players or on the course, or maybe hitting next to you on the range. And while you swing, monitor the flow of and the sound of the hum or the flow of the air. And if it's pretty consistent and you can make a swing like that, then you're probably going to be pretty loose and pretty relaxed, and your tether ball is going to be coming around the same point in space there again for these tight lie shots. But if there's like when you're swinging, then there's a little bit of hardness that you can alleviate from your swing there, that you can work on alleviating and bringing down a little bit the amount of oomph in your swing. Again, still go as fast as you can, but just be smooth and watch the tension. And when we're talking about these tight lie shots where you don't have much room to work with, you want to be as consistently smooth so that when you're swinging, again, that club, like the tether ball, is going to be coming around the same spot every time. And that'll help you deal with these type of shots a little bit better. So just to recap here, watch the amount of shaft lean, try and pick, sweep, or collect the ball. Watch your ball position. Don't get it too far back. Don't get it too far forward. Middle-ish, particularly with single-length irons here. These are going to help you hit these consistently. And then watch the amount of rigidity and tension in your swing, and try use the air blow trick or the humming trick to practice swinging fluidly, so that your club is going to be coming through there consistently and give you some better strikes like that. So put those things into practice, give those things a little bit of try, spend a couple sessions working on that, and hopefully that'll improve your confidence in your performance with hitting these iron shots from the fairway or from tight lies.